Okay, it's just a short video on changing the alternator clutch pulley, in this case on a VW 2 litre diesel. The engine code's BKD. 30 or 40 years ago, alternator pulleys were simple things. They were solid and just bolted onto the alternator armature shaft. About 20 or 30 years ago, manufacturers started fitting pulleys with one-way clutches. And these do go faulty. So after 10 plus years, 100,000 miles or more, the one-way clutch starts to give trouble, either seize or slip. The reason for using a one-way clutch is twofold. First of all, when you accelerate the engine, the clutch locks and the alternator speeds up along with the engine. When you take your foot off the throttle and the engine slows down, the one-way clutch allows the alternator to overrun and continue to produce more electricity. So that's more efficient. The second reason that we fit the one-way clutch pulley is that the motion of the crankshaft is not smooth. Each time a cylinder fires, the crankshaft pulley speeds up slightly. It's a series of pulses basically. And the one-way clutch helps smooth out that pulsation along with the belt tensioner. So normally what happens is when these things start to fail, you either get the alternator warning light coming on because the one-way clutch is slipping, or more usually they sort of intermittently seize and you'll get squeaking and chirping from the belt. And you'll also see the tensioner bouncing about, particularly if the tensioner's got quite a few miles on it. And you may also find the idle is a little more lumpy because the inertia of the alternator armature is affecting the idle a little bit. So what we need to do is unscrew the pulley from the alternator shaft. It screws onto the shaft with a conventional right hand thread, so we basically need to hold the alternator shaft and unscrew the pulley, and to do that we need a special tool. We need something that actually holds the engages with the alternator armature shaft, and we'll hold that, and then we have one of these spline fittings which engages with the pulley. Usually it's a 33 tooth spline fitting in there. The alternator shaft can have a variety of different fittings you need to check. It can be a double square type or a Torx type, depends exactly when the car was made. So what we do is we hold the alternator shaft with a wrench, and then we unscrew the pulley using a ring spanner around this spline fitting. Usually it's a 17mm ring spanner we need on there. Now I should add that in this case, because this vehicle is about 16 years old, it's done 140,000 miles, as far as we know the belt tensioner is original, so we're also going to change the belt tensioner. And again, you need to look at your particular vehicle to see what kind of tension you've got. They do vary. Luckily this one comes off very easily. It's just held on by a couple of bolts. So we'll swap out the tensioner, and we'll also put a new belt on, because with the failing pulley the belt's been subject to some additional wear and tear. Right, so we've removed the fuel filter, just parked it out of the way to give us a bit more room. So this is the belt tensioner here. So what we do then is pull the tensioner back using the 16mm spanner, and then slip through a 4mm drill bit just to lock it off. Okay, so the tensioner is locked, and we can take off the belt. Okay, now we can get on with removing the pulley and removing the tensioner. So what we've got is an M10 double square to hold the alternator shaft, and then we've got the 33 tooth spline fitting which will engage with the pulley, so we can undo the pulley. So I'm going to slip the spline fitting over there. Goes into the alternator shaft, spline fitting on the pulley, and then I've got a long ring spanner here, 17mm long ring spanner. So I'm going to hold the alternator shaft fixed and then rotate the pulley anti-clockwise. That means I'm going to push this long spanner toward the back of the cart. Okay, so that's free now, and we can unscrew the pulley from the shaft. Okay, and that's the pulley, the old pulley from the shaft. Okay, so with the pulley off and out of the way, we're going to remove the belt tensioner. So in this particular vehicle, it's a VW 2-litre BKD engine. It's just held on by two 13mm bolts, but obviously different engines have different tension arrangements. I'm going to just remove those, top one and the lower one. So we remove the old tensioner, just two 13mm bolts. The new tensioner is bolted in place, and all we need to do now is spin on the new pulley. Now the torque on these, I think it's around 50 Newton meters, but the action of the belt actually tightens the pulley, so it's not that critical. So we'll tighten that up and slip the belt back on. The new tensioner comes with a retaining pin, so we need to, with a 16mm spanner, just hold the tensioner open and pull that pin out. And with the new belt on, all ready to go. Okay, so we've completed the job. Let's start her up. Okay, so the engine's running a lot more smoothly. The tensioner's not bouncing around, and no more chirping from the alternator belt. So just pop the engine cover back on, and the car's good to go.